from being just completely out there in the public eye.
All right, well, if we can shift a little to more of the negative side, after Facebook introduced Beacon, I believe, in 2007, about a year later there was a class action lawsuit brought against Facebook for that introduction. Now, if you could explain what exactly is Beacon and why was this lawsuit brought, and tell us about everything else.
Yeah, so like Beacon is, I think, the most catastrophic privacy meltdown on Facebook. Not in terms of the most actual damage done, but in terms of the worst damage to people's feeling of being safe and showing how huge the threats could be. So Beacon is, or was, fortunately, this program that Facebook launched to integrate with a lot of other websites. Essentially, really souped up advertising. The way it would work, say you went to Amazon and you bought a book, or you went to Epicurious and you bookmarked a recipe. What would happen is that website would generate an event that would get sent to Facebook that would know that it had been you doing it.
You know, I think I actually noticed that one day I rented a film on Blockbuster Online, and then all of a sudden it popped up on my Facebook, and I had absolutely no idea why that had happened.
That's why this class action suit is a lawsuit against Blockbuster. They were one of Facebook's partners in this. And what happened here is you never had to tell Blockbuster or Epicurious that you were associated with this Facebook account. Through some really, really clever technical wizardry, they made it so that if you were logged into Facebook, Facebook would know that that user who is currently logged in was the one who'd bought that book.
Right.
And then Facebook would take this fact, and what would it do? It would tell your friend network, you bought this book. It would then start showing them ads for other books they might want to buy. It was designed to be this complete social network integration where suddenly you've been hired as a pitchman. You're selling books for them. Your friends will trust your recommendation.
Right.
And this is just a horrible, squicky privacy problem.
And you mentioned it sounds like integration, but I mean, you said it is integration, but it sounds like more of infringement on people's personal lives.
Yeah, it breaks the web. You're used to the idea that websites are different. Like Facebook is Facebook and Amazon is Amazon. And like what happens on Facebook stays in Facebook and vice versa. So when suddenly your visits to Blockbuster and Epicurious start pumping all this information into Facebook, you've just had the barrier between what may have been two very separate parts of your life breached. And you experience that breach as a privacy violation.
So how do you think this class action suit will be resolved? I mean, if you could give any insight on that.
So I don't know about the sort of straight up, oh, you intercepted my messages claims, or about some of the other sort of classic privacy torts. The one piece of this lawsuit that I'm fascinated by, that I think Facebook simply didn't expect, is that there is a specific federal law about video rental records. It's known as the Bork Bill, because when Robert Bork was up for a nomination to the Supreme Court, some reporters dug up his videotape rental records from a local video store. And Congress was so outraged over this that they passed a law specifically preventing video stores from telling people what videos you rented. Well, it sure seems like when Blockbuster says you rented this video and sends it out to Facebook, that sure seems like a video rental record.
Right.
So the lawsuit has this claim under the Bork Bill. And when I looked at it on my blog, I thought, wow, I don't see how Facebook can possibly defend against this one. So I'm really very interested to see how that one comes out.
Now, you mentioned your blog, and it's laboratorium.net. If you could give the viewers a little bit of more information of exactly what you put on that blog. I believe you've been doing it since the year 2000?
Yeah. So I started blogging in 2000, before I really knew what weblogs were for, before I was even certain that I liked the idea of calling them blogs. And it started off just being me commenting on news stories or posting about interesting book readings I'd been to. And just over the years, I've kept up writing about sort of whatever I feel like. And as I moved into teaching, I started writing more professional stuff. So I write about Facebook there sometimes. I've written about Google. I've written about other interesting cases. But I still try to mix it up with, oh, here's something interesting I see. Here's some book and movie reviews. basically, I write it for my own amusement and to help me think through things.
Well, this article that you wrote, Saving Facebook, it was quite comprehensive, and it was truly great to read because I think it really gives an in-depth look as to what people should know. Going forward from that, do you see yourself writing anything more on Facebook, anything more on social networking sites, or in the future, what does Professor Grimmelman seem to have in store for us?
So I've got a little more Facebook in me, I think. I'm working on a book chapter right now about the ideas in the article, trying to write them out for more of a general audience. I'm going to call it the privacy virus. Facebook being something that spreads from person to person through ordinary human contact, and then once it's inside, it breaches your privacy membrane, and suddenly you get infected. And so I've got some more on social networking, because I'm interested in how people use it and how social features are going to cover the whole of the web. And like I said, I'm doing some stuff with Google, which I think is the other really omnipresent. Everybody who deals with the web and the internet is affected by it. And so I'm just sort of studying how different legal issues and different policy questions come together around search, particularly around book search. Google's being sued right now and is trying to settle a gigantic lawsuit over scanning millions of books.
So they seem to be getting sued every week, Google.
Yeah, but this one is, it's like a gigantic class action lawsuit with millions of plaintiffs. And the settlement of this one could affect how we read books in the future in pretty profound ways.
Now, wrapping up, I know we only have a few minutes left. If you could give kind of some closing words, advice to Facebook users out there, plain and simple advice, because it seems everybody's on it, of what they should be aware of most of and what they should be concerned with most of while using Facebook.
They should be aware, mostly, that privacy contexts on Facebook aren't obvious. You should think about who has access to your profile and think about what your privacy settings are. Go and look at them, and even if you don't change them, have an idea of what information gets shared and with whom. And what you should be most concerned about, I think, is Facebook changing how it works. Facebook has a bad history of taking things that used to be private information and then suddenly making them more public, often without great warning. So you should be ready to react very quickly if Facebook changes in a way that exposes things you've been doing on there to a wider audience in a way you don't like.
Professor, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And again, my name is Clifford A. Marin, and this has been Media Reporter. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.